Hello. Hi guys. I'm very excited about tonight. Hi Janie. We have a very exciting author that is going to be joining us. Oh, Carmen, hi. Go ahead and make the request to join. Okay, your request. Hopefully that goes through. Hi guys. Hello, hello. I'm so happy that you're joining. Okay, Carmen is joining right now.
Hi, can you see me?
I can hear you, but I can't yet see you. How are you, Carmen?
Good. I don't know why you can't see me. I don't know what to do. Share this live video. I'm good.
All you have to do, maybe, are you on Wi-Fi? Maybe sometimes if you turn the Wi-Fi off and just use your cellular data.
Yeah, I'm on Wi-Fi.
How odd.
Yeah, I've never had this problem. I've been live before with someone.
Dina, do you have any idea how we can get Carmen's camera to show? Because I can hear her, but I can't see her. And it's just looping. Hi guys, I'm so glad that you're here. Tonight is going to be an exciting talk with Carmen. We're just dealing with some technical difficulties, of course.
Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
Let me
You want to try to turn off your slide off your Wi-Fi and use cellular data?
Yeah, let me see.
Okay. Cool. We will figure this out. Let's see. Did she X out Instagram, swipe up, and then restart? That's
all right. Let me log off and come back in. Maybe that'll help.
Okay. That sounds great. All right. So Carmen's going to jump off, and I'm glad you guys are all here with me. Yeah, Carmen, I would say just cancel out and then just come back. Yeah, relaunch Instagram entirely, like close it out and then come back. Yeah, retrograde has been brutal in many ways. Hi, and we can talk about all of those fun astrological themes. But I don't know why it's still looping. Carmen, are you still on or? Okay. So she logged off and then hopefully she'll be able to join us again in a moment. Okay, let's try it again. Oh, the request went away. So she's probably just coming back on. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Danielle. I'm one of the co-owners of Amityville Apothecary. Dina is online. I see some of our staff, some of our beloved customers. All right, hold on. Carmen is back, and hopefully we get to see her pretty face. So, Carmen, I'm really excited about this talk tonight. There she is.
Now it connected. It worked this time.
Excellent. See, we persevered.
Yes.
So I was just saying that I'm one of the co-owners of Amityville Apothecary, and I'm so excited about our talk tonight. So this is one of Carmen's books, Sun Signs, Houses and Healing, Build Resistance and Transform Your Life Through Astrology. And then the next one is Moon Signs, Houses and Healing, Gain Emotional Strength and Resilience Through Astrology. And then I'm really especially excited about this one.
Yes.
And I'll talk about the relevance during our conversation, but Phoenixes and Angels, Mastering the 8th and 12th Astrological Houses. So Carmen is highly regarded as an excellent astrologer, and I came across her years ago when I was taking my astrology classes with my teacher, Maria Di Simone. I don't know if you personally know her, but
yes.
She thinks the world of you.
Oh, nice.
And she's wonderful. But Carmen is a social worker, clinical social worker, a writer, an astrologer with national and international clientele. I came across Carmen because she has a Facebook group that's very robust called Deep Soul Divers. Is that correct, Carmen?
Yes, Deep Soul Divers, 8th house astrology group, and then the 12th house astrology on Facebook.
Yeah. So we can talk about all of that, but do you want to talk a little bit about how you came into astrology and how it relates to life and healing based on your experience?
Sure. So, I started studying astrology when I was 16, and it really came from a strange experience I had with a glowing ball of light in my doorway that I couldn't explain. One night I woke up and saw this orb in my doorway, and I couldn't speak, I couldn't move. I was kind of frozen, and my mother saw it too. So I had a witness, but even before that, I would say it really intensified my interest in angels and the metaphysical. And I bought my first astrology book around that time, taught myself how to do charts by hand. In those old days, I'd use, the wheel and the rulers and draw everything. And I had no computers, to do it for you like back, in the 90s. And I just was obsessed with learning and practicing it. And at 19, I started practicing on others in the St. Louis area. And I just started doing consults for free, for fun. And through graduate school, I was going to school for psychology, social work, and people were just like, how did you know this? And they would cry, and they would just really share these deep things. And I felt like I was helping people heal so much deeply, deeper than you would with 8 counseling sessions of talk therapy. So I wanted to bring it in as a tool of self-awareness and use it in my social work practice and my normal job. And then it was always my passion and my hobby to do astrology consults and teach. And I've been doing that for many years. And I've always liked to write. And I some of my first books were all self-published because I just wrote some articles and kind of put them out there in the early 2000s. And people would write me from all over the world. And that's kind of how my first book, The Mysteries of the 8th House, Phoenix Rising, came about, was just from an article I wrote about my own life and feelings of having the moon and Jupiter and Chiron in the 8th house in the chart. And then I was obsessed with the 12th house too, because I had the sun and Venus there. And so astrology just validated why I always felt so different as a child and growing up, and so sensitive, and I was empathic, and and I would dream things, but I never knew what that meant. No one ever taught me that. So I had to kind of learn on my own and astrology was that tool that really validated my personal experiences.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I relate to a lot of what you said. And I always say the astrological chart, your natal chart, is the blueprint of your soul.
Yes.
And it's your soul's contract that when you come here and you incarnate in this lifetime, it's unique like a snowflake, that it's unique only to you at that exact moment where you are in the universe, latitude, longitude, at the instant, energetically sealing so many indicators.
Yeah.
So the more that I've learned about astrology for myself and my family members and my friends, it helps explain so much, because we always have free will. But if we understand the energies and some of what's supportive or what may be challenging, I find that it helps us navigate through life so much.
Yes.
So what I love so much about these 2 books is they're great for beginners, but they're great for experts. They're great for everybody.
Well, thank you. I was hoping so, because it was my first time having a book published when I did the Sun Signs book, and I learned a lot, because there's like 5 or 6 editors that look at it, and and they change a little bit, and then you have a chance to approve the changes, and that way it keeps your voice. But they're the experts, they know what they're doing. And especially with these books, I wanted to do a beginner's guide, the intro. So people that didn't know anything about astrology could learn the basics. And then I wanted to make it a little bit more advanced for those that do know astrology, so they could benefit from it too. So I was trying to do a good mix and not have it be too technical and everything. And that was my goal. And when I wrote the sun signs book, they asked me to do the moon signs, and I started it from scratch. And it takes about a year, before to write, and a year to wait for it to be published. So the moon signs just came out this summer. And so now they're both out. And I always tell people they're a good companion guide, to have. And because this, I feel like the moon is such a powerful placement in our chart, our emotions, our inner nature. It's so much more powerful than even our sun sign. And I feel like I really resonate a lot more with my moon sign. And I feel like the moon sign is where we heal. That moon sign is where I feel we can really tap into our strengths and our emotional, intensity to overcome hard times and challenges. And that's kind of helps us survive and be resilient. The sun sign does as well, but the moon sign, it's that intuition, that power of emotion that I think is so important to know your moon sign and what house it's in, and what aspects are going on with it and things like that. So I love both. I think it's good to know, of course, to know your whole chart, but if you're just learning, people get very overwhelmed. I've been going on a lot of podcasts, and they're like, yeah, we don't really have a lot of astrologers. We don't understand it. It's so complex. And I try to explain it on a really basic level and teach this on a simplistic level so anyone can, oh, that makes sense. So I try to talk basic with it. I can talk, I could talk advanced, but I don't want to do that, because I want to make it fun where anyone knows the truth, that astrology is real, and that it's energy, and that it is the map of our soul, and get their interest, get their interest in that.
Yeah, it definitely can be very complex, especially when you start dealing with all different angles and projections. But I did a little summer series for our consumers, just for like breaking down the basics. And I went through, like, if your sun sign is in this, what does it mean? Like, broad stroke. So I scratched the surface at what your book does. Yeah. And I loved it, because I was like, yes, like we're thinking about the approach the same way, because it just breaks it down in simple, easy to understand manners, because astrology can be overwhelming. But the more that you understand the personality of your own sun sign, and then the personality of, say, your spouse or your child or your business partner. I pull charts for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
It helps with the interpersonal communication. As well as areas for development that might not be my strong suit, or areas of strength. So I think that's beautifully depicted here.
Thank you.
But then I love what you say about the moon signs, and also the house that it resides in, because that's going to affect what area of life you're most challenged by, or that the most growth has to come from. And I always say, like, you have to go through it. You have to really feel it in order to go through it and learn the lessons and grow. Otherwise, you're destined to keep repeating it. So this can be a very handy, effectual tool to help with that shadow work and development.
Yeah, the moon sign, to me, I really feel like having the Aries moon that I've had has helped me overcome a lot of hard things in my life, and having it in the 8th house really helped me. I have these death and rebirth experiences, but it really made me stronger. Having my moon in Aries, I think, really helped me, say, hey, I'm this warrior, Xena warrior energy. I get mad, I think Aries anger, and rage and passion. That Aries moon is like, I'm going to survive no matter what. And they kind of get over things quickly. And that really helped me with all my Virgo in the 12th house and all of the other things I got going on with Neptune, that it made me, that realistic kind of, I'm going to move forward and kind of snap out of this sadness or whatever it was, and heartbreak. It took me a long time to get over some heartbreaks in my, my past. And I had to learn a lot through love and idealism and all those things that the 12th house sun brings. And that Aries moon in the 8th really helped me become stronger and have more boundaries and kind of speak up for myself and things like that as I got older. You know, I think as we get older, we get more into our moon sign, because when I was growing up, I didn't feel like an Aries moon at all. I was shy, very Virgo, you know, my Virgo stellium there with the 12th. But as I got older, and now I feel my Aries moon all the time. Now I have to be careful because I have to make sure, you know, I think before I speak and I take a deep breath, because I just feel it's quick. You know, the Aries moon is quick to feel, and it just comes real fast, and you want to express it. And so all those moon signs, it's important to know your moon sign, because that's where you're really going to find happiness and where you are going to be the most comfortable and find that emotional fulfillment in your life. Is whatever house and sign the moon is in is so important in your birth chart.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have eighth house moon.
Oh,
I actually have a stellium in the eighth house. So
yes.
yeah, so my moon is conjunct Saturn in Leo.
Oh, nice.
And I also have vertex there that's conjunct, and then I also have Venus and Leo in the eighth house. So it's some pretty significant.
You're a phoenix. You're a phoenix energy there, like my picture back here.
And then I have Neptune and Sagittarius in the 12th.
Ooh, Neptune in the 12th. Yeah, that. Are you a vivid dreamer?
Yes.
Yes.
Especially as a young child, I used to have very vivid dreams of, like, I was actually like flying around, and I would remember the sensations and everything. But I remember when I was a kid, my grandfather died, and they lived in an old house in Brooklyn, and you had to, there was a doorway at the bottom of the staircase. So it was very dark with a little light at the bottom. So I like ran up the stairs at the reception afterward. I got to the top of the stairs, and I looked to the right, and there was a light figure standing at the end of his bed.
Oh.
Like as if it was a full man.
Oh, yeah.
And I just stopped dead in my tracks and looked, and I was like, "Hi, Pop." Like I just knew.
That was,
and then he just kind of nodded, and I nodded, and then I just went into the bathroom, and I was like, "That was interesting." But like, I didn't dare tell a soul. But when you talked about the orb, it's interesting because I didn't know that other people don't experience that. And the more I started learning about astrology, I'm like, these things are starting to make more sense now.
Yes.
The whole theme of death and rebirth and constant.
You're connected. Yeah, you're connected to death, you know, like in the Sphinxes and Angels, 8 people that have the sun, moon, yes, or 3 or more planets, or a lot of Scorpio energy. If you have Scorpio rising, sun, moon, you're connected to death. You're connected to the other side. So I've met thousands of people from all over the world share with me. They've seen, the spirit of a deceased loved one stand at the foot of their bed. They've had dreams about people before they passed away. That happened to me several times in my life, where I kind of knew something was going to happen. And it's like there's a connection to the meaning of life, and I have a lot of 8th house people. When they were young, like really little, they would think about death. I'd have them tell me, they lay in bed and think, what if I die? Where do I go? These very deep, very taboo topics that, most people don't want to talk about. And, we 8th house people attract people that have pain and that want to talk about these things. So, I thought I was the only one that people would come up to in the grocery store to tell me that their spouse died or their child, and they would just start telling me all these things. Next thing you know, I've met thousands of people that are 8th housers and 12th housers that have had the same thing. So it's like we're not alone. You realize that it's your birth chart, it's your energy, it's your destiny to have these experiences and to be able to help other people, because that's what 8th and 12th house people are here to do. People have planets in those houses, and everyone has a mission, a destiny, but people that have planets in the 8th and 12th, through my research, I've just found that they have these spiritual abilities. They have these, gift of dreams or intuition, empathy, healing, drawn to astrology, drawn to energy work, crystals, all of these things. They're interested in why am I here? Asking these questions. I know I'm not a body, I'm a soul, and they just kind of are born knowing that. And sometimes you know, they might forget, but eventually their chart will open up, you know, depending on their north node, their south, you know, their soul mission, and different transits in our life sometimes trigger us and awaken, you know, certain areas of our life too. I met people that had a lot of eighth house. That it was interesting. I met one of my husband's friends years ago, had like a stellium there, and I remember meeting him, and I was like, have you ever lost anyone close to you? And he's like, no. And I just knew when I saw his eighth house, something, I knew what it meant, but I just didn't want to scare him, you know, and say anything.
Yeah.
And a few years later, his wife had died unexpectedly of an aneurysm.
Oh.
And he ended up being a single dad. He ended up getting remarried and everything, but he did lose someone close to him. And I always wondered, wow, he hadn't lost anyone close to him, you know, because most eighth house people do.
Right.
You know, when they're young. And I had a friend that was accidentally shot and killed when I was 16. So that was my first funeral, my first loss. So that was my first time awakening into this eighth house stuff. And when I started teaching myself astrology, I'm like, oh wow, maybe my moon is there, my Jupiter, Chiron. Wow, this makes sense. And then I just started, you know, there weren't a lot of books out there about the 8th and 12th house, you know, back in the 90s. And there still isn't a ton of books out there, right, about these houses, because I think people are afraid of writing about it. And if you don't have planets there, it's hard to write about it and share it if you haven't experienced it. So that's why in my book, some people if they don't like my books, I've had some feedback that, well, they're just, you know, all stories. Well, it's because they're real stories of real people. That was my whole intent, is to share people's personal stories that are all similar themes, to show how this energy plays out, and help astrologers counsel people that have these planets in these houses, right? Because, you know, I've lived this stuff, and I've you know, met so many people, and I'm seeing here, 4 planets in Chiron.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yes. So she shared, when she was 5 months old, lost her father. There's inheritances, you know, 8th house rules other people's resources too. And there's inheritances. They can be financial, money, land, or property, or they can also be debts. You can inherit people's debts. You can also inherit their spiritual abilities. You know, like if the moon is in the 8th, I find that there's maybe a spiritual gift passed down from the grandmother. Maybe it's, you know, the grandmother, the mother, you know, maternal side. If the sun is there, maybe it's a paternal grandparent or someone on that side that you kind of inherit a spiritual gift from. Could be dreams or intuition. Then you realize, oh wow, my grandmother, she dreamed things too, right? And that's kind of what happened with me. My grandmother would dream things, and they would happen, and she ended up sharing that with me, and I did the same thing. So in my moon's in the 8th, so I started seeing these patterns, you know, these different energies play out when I would do charts for people, and it became research. I mean, I've been studying all of these things, especially the 8th and 12th, but also healing, how the sun and moon sign helps us heal. You know, because I worked a lot with trauma survivors, people with PTSD, children through, you know, people that were 90s, you know, and a lot of people with addiction, things like that. And a lot of times with addiction, people are trying to numb their pain, you know, because they've had trauma. And so I've worked a lot in my normal job, trying to help people and learn different healings. You know, I do Reiki. I'm a Reiki master. I study pranic healing. I've done the hypnosis stuff. You know, I'm always trying to teach myself different skills. There's a havening technique I just recently learned 2 years ago, and it's like a psychological technique to help people heal themselves with these hand movements. You know, just different things that I try to give tips. So when I do a consultation, I bring counseling into it. You know, and I just did a chart a couple weeks ago. So really, this is like a really deep counseling session. I'm like, that's what I try to do. You know, I'm not going to be talking, oh, you got this degree, this degree, that. Yeah, I'm very down to earth in my approach. So, you know.
No, it's so interesting because I'm a Reiki master too, and I used to have a career in corporate America in advertising sales, and I was just completely burned out. And as part of my rebirth after I had like a crazy dark night of the soul and dealt with addiction, and I was, you know, drinking heavily, and I quit all of that. And I left my career because I had like adrenal fatigue, but I said, like, I want to be part of the healing process. And I became a Reiki master because somebody did it on me. And I had a mentor, an early mentor of mine, who was a shaman, and I said, well, I can't believe I'm going through all of this stuff, and help me navigate. And she said, well, you're going through this so that you can help other people also go through this. Because it's not just talk. You're experiencing this as part of your soul contract. And I'm like, Drats, you're right. I didn't want this. It's too much, you know, but I guess it's that old adage, like, you're only given what you can handle. But it really is, you have to navigate through in order to be able to help guide people based on experience. And it's funny, I also have Pluto conjunct my sun, conjuncts my midheaven.
Oh, so you do?
Yeah, so I mean, just constantly the theme of that Scorpio, and my my North Node is in Scorpio. So even though I only have one planet in Scorpio, it's my chart is very heavily influenced by those energies, and death and rebirth. I continue to see that transformation. But also paired with the healing. And I think this is the beauty of understanding astrology, because, okay, we've spent a lot of time talking about the 8th and 12th house, but the more you understand every single personality type of the zodiac wheel, then you can really focus on enhancing that interpersonal communication between your relations, as well as foster the healing required in the style that you require, I think.
Sure. Yeah, we both got the North Node in Scorpio. Mine's in the 3rd house. But Pluto conjunct your sun, that's powerful, because, you know, Pluto rules the 8th house. So it is your main identity, even if you did, and then you also have planets in the 8th. So it's like a double whammy. Your whole identity is constantly going through these transformations and rebirths and healing. So it's very intense to have Pluto conjunct the sun. So, like, I'm curious, like, what do you do to express all that powerful energy?
Well, I help others heal.
Do you punch a bag? Are you a kickboxer, taekwondo?
Well, I grew up very athletic. Like, I was a swimmer and dancer, and
there you go. Okay.
So I always had some sort of physical exertion. I definitely need to do more. Like, I like yoga, but the Reiki definitely helps too. And journaling, I would have to express myself a lot, because my son is in Libra, so I have a lot of Libra. So I like artistic expression as well.
That's really good. Yeah, to get that Pluto sun is powerful, because, you know, you really got to express it in some way. So writing, that is perfect art, you know, even listening to music, you know, whatever you got to do.
And spending time in nature too,
to get that energy. That's really neat. Yeah, I love, you got a lot of Phoenix energy, definitely in your chart, a lot of 8th house, a lot of Scorpio energy there. And, you know, with each of the moon signs, you know, I don't know if we have a lot of beginners on here and things like that, but I could talk a little bit about each moon sign, you know, and just a few tips of how they heal.
That would be,
we could do that.
Really helpful, since that's the most recent book. Let's focus on that right now. That would be really interesting. And we'll save too for people to come back and listen to.
Yeah. So you know, the first sign of the zodiac is Aries, and Aries is known as the warrior. You know, they're bold, they're courageous, they like action. They're known to have a little bit of a temper, a little bit impatient. And so their tips for healing are to learn patience, okay, and to learn to balance their emotions, because they can get very emotional very quickly, and they're known to say what they think without thinking about it. So they can just say something, the blunt truth, and sometimes people are like, whoa, you know, and so they can't help it, because they're so passionate, right? So the moon in Aries has to learn to manage anger, and that's also how they heal. And they value independence, honesty, and action. So it's hard for them to sit around and not make decisions. And so if you have an Aries moon in your life, they could be like, come on, let's go. Decide. And if you're not an Aries moon, you may be a Taurus moon, which is the second sign of the zodiac. And Tauruses are the opposite of that. They're all about waiting and having comfort and stability and no change and patience. They're known to be very patient emotionally. And so they're going to want to think about things. And their biggest tip for healing is to let go and to learn to take action, right? Because they're kind of the opposite. They don't embrace change well. So embracing change really helps Taurus moons heal, and overcoming I say stubbornness, you know, but they get really strong-willed, and when they feel and believe something, it's very hard to change a Taurus's mind. You know, they're the bull, and they put the little horns down, and they're not red. They don't want to change unless there's a reason. You know, like, well, you know, they want to feel, and they want to feel the time's right. So they need baby steps, you know, before they make big changes, especially if it affects their security. You know, because the moon sign really has to do with our comfort and where we find that security and stability in our life. And so if your moon's in Taurus, you're going to want to know you have money in the bank, and you're going to want to plan, and you're going to want to also, you know, have comfort around you. You know, Tauruses are ruled by Venus, so they usually also are very artistic and creative signs. They also are drawn to money and finance and things like that. But Tauruses, you know, need to embrace more change and take those baby steps and really allow themselves to take risks, because they don't like taking risk. And then Aries moons are all about taking risks, right? So it's kind of, you can see how different that emotional nature is in two different people, right? And then Gemini moon, they're the third sign of the zodiac. Gemini is known as the twin, and they are known to have two different emotional natures, you know, if the moon is there, because they have these two sides to them. They can have a very social side and maybe a shy side, right? Talkative. They're known to be the communicators. So their tips for healing are to learn to rest, because they can be very restless. You know, they get bored easy. They like movement. They like to be doing things all the time, especially working with their hands and things. And, you know, they're just kind of restless. It's hard for them to sit still. So they need to learn to communicate their feelings, though, because they're thinkers. They're an air sign. So they're good at talking, but it's kind of like surface or analyzing it. And so they really got to connect with, what do I really feel, not what I think I feel, right? So that's kind of a tip for Gemini, like to really get in touch with their energy and their emotions, and not overanalyze. And then, you know, find balance. You know, they need to balance their energy, because they can be very scattered, you know, and they're changeable. You know, they'll go one way and then they'll change their mind, and and they go the next way. And for others, they're shocked, like, wait a minute, you just said this, what are we doing? You know, so but they like variety, and they like to have fun, and they're social. They value knowledge, they value change, excitement, independence, and they value intelligence. You know, so Gemini moons typically feel emotional connections with people through talking. So if you share a similar interest, like talking for hours about astrology, they're going to love that. You know, that's going to really make them happy, you know, which is what the moon sign, where we try to find that happiness. So yeah, they value all those things, communication. And then Cancer is a water sign. They're the fourth sign, and they are the mother, you know, the nurturer. Cancers are all about nurturing and family and taking care of others, and also having time alone, you know, to them, for themselves, you know, having that solitude, that peace, that harmony. You know, tips for healing, you know, being near water. Water's very healing for Cancers, and they need to really, you know, get in water and be near water as much as they can, because they're ruled by the moon. So the moon's a ruler, so they're very intuitive, very compassionate, kind. They like to nurture others, and they like to try to take care of their family. And so they need to prioritize family time with alone time, though, because they can sometimes spend time doing everything for everyone else, but then they can, no, they don't do enough self-care. And Cancers, to me, you know, just have a very, very calm and caring energy. They also have another side to them too, because they got the shell, that crab. So they can get moody, they can get a little bit irritable, a little bit, you know, depressed sometimes, or sometimes take out things on their loved ones when they're not feeling good. My husband's a Cancer moon. So he'll get a little irritable. When the moon's full, I'm like, just don't say anything. It's a full moon. You know, I know his moods. He goes through these ups and downs of mood, and that's Cancer moon, because the moon rolls the tides of the ocean. It's really going to affect a Cancer moon greatly when the cycles of the moon. So I always tell Cancer moons to really watch those cycles of the moon, see how they're feeling, because sometimes that's why they're feeling the way they are. You know, it's a full moon or a new moon or whatever. I think tonight is the new moon, isn't it? Yes.
New moon in Virgo.
The new moon in Virgo. This is a good night to set new intentions, and make plans and new goals and things like that. But yeah, Cancers value family, comfort, creativity, loyalty, trust, and having that alone time. They need that. And they need to learn to have boundaries with themselves and others too, you know, and it's okay to tell people no, you know, because they do like to take care of people, especially people that are sick. So a lot of them go into the medical field, you know, working with children, maybe nurses, doctors, you know, social work even, you know, so they like to help people. And then artists, a lot of artists have a lot of Cancer moon. A lot of Cancer moons are, you know, writers or painters, you know, or musicians, you know, you'll see that a lot. And then Leo is the 5th sign. Leo's the lion. You know, they are the one, you know, that likes to be up on stage and likes to express themselves. So they're the sign of self-expression. And so Leo moons, to me, how they heal is having fun and seeking pleasure, doing hobbies that they care about, having affection, because that's very big to a Leo moon. They need affection and they need social connections. And so like the Leo moons that I've known, they want to be respected, admired, and cherished, and felt appreciated, you know. And then it's like a lion, you pet their little mane, you know, they'll do anything for you. But if they feel neglected and like you're not giving enough attention, they may roar, right? And and that's kind of what I see with Leos, because they are leaders too, and they tend to like to be, they're bold. I mean, they're ruled by the sun, so you know, they're fire. But they have a sensitive side to them, the Leo moons do. I think I've seen that a lot with Leo moons. And they value independence, recognition, having, you know, passion, romance, playfulness, you know, all those kind of things. They usually like children. You know, children, you know, love them and they can be playful with them, or they make a good aunt or uncle, right? Or having their own kids too. A lot of them want to have children or work with children, even if they don't want to have their own, because they do value their independence and freedom. And then Virgo, you know, Virgos are the 6th sign. They're warriors, analyzers, very intelligent. They like to communicate. They like to express themselves through words, writing. But they have to learn to prioritize self-care, because they like to be efficient and they're the perfectionists. So Virgo moons have to learn to realize that no one's perfect. And that helps them heal, and controlling their worry and their thoughts, because they obsess on things, right? And that affects their mood, their emotions, because they overthink and they try to plan and be prepared, and they're practical and all these things. So they need to learn to feel their emotions, to really stop and feel and not think. It's similar to Gemini. Feel what, you know, their emotions are, and they're earth signs, so they're able to do that a little easier, you know, than a Gemini. But you know, they got to have time to relax and escape from the world. So a lot of Virgo moons need time alone, in solitude, and time to just not think and just read. They like to read, write, listen to music, you know, have these solitary activities. Then they can go back out in the world and do, you know, because they rule the house of service. So Virgo moons love to help people. You know, they like to be a service, a practical service, really, is kind of their thing. Doing, you know, taking the trash out, doing the dishes, cooking, taking a neighbor something if they're sick, you know, those kind of things is how they show and express their love, you know, by doing practical things for people. And they value routine, structure, neatness, knowledge, you know, service to others. Those are kind of the tips. And then Libra moon, I think we had someone said, I'm a Leo moon and my best friend's an Aries moon. Oh, cool. Yes. And yeah, Leo and Aries moon, very compatible. And then Libra is the relationship sign. So I think you said, is your sun in Libra, you said?
I think my son's a Scorpio moon. I'm a
Oh,
Libra sun.
I mean, you're a Libra sun. Yes,
Here's
you're
a
a
fun
Libra
fact.
sun.
Do you know my business partner and we were born the same exact day.
Oh,
So,
nice.
same exact day, same exact time, well, I'm like just shy of 2 hours older than her.
Oh.
Very close, like location wise together. So we're both Libra suns, we're both Leo moons, but I'm a Sag rising and she's a Cap rising.
That is cool. I haven't met a lot of people. My husband and I are born the same day.
Oh, wow.
And I only went on a date with him, a blind date, because my friend set us up and I said, find out his birthday, because I always dated Aries and they always hurt me.
Okay.
And I'm like, I said, no more Aries suns. I mean, because I have an Aries moon. I attracted him, 8th house, right on my Aries on my 8th house there. And I mean, it wasn't good. As friends work, it's awesome, but not in love. And so she said, he's born the same day as you. I said, no way. She goes, yeah, but he's 5 years older. And so we got married 3 months later, and I've been married 24 years. And then our daughter, get this, she was born a whole month early, and she missed our birthday by 1 hour because I had emergency C-section. So she's born the 25th of August, and we're the 26th. Wow. So we all would have had the same birthday, which is cool. I don't meet a lot of people that have the same birthday, so that's really neat. Cool. And but yeah, Libra is the one sign, out of all of them that is not ruled by a living thing. It's the metal scales. And so I started realizing, that's why Libras really need people. That's why they're focused on a partner, because that's kind of how they find their identity, is through people, through having love and partnership and people. And so they really focus a lot of times on relationships. They like to be in relationships. They like to partner and compromise. They can be a little bit indecisive sometimes because Libras always see both sides of an issue. Right. Be a little bit indecisive, and they can see the good and bad, and so they're very good negotiators, right? And they like peace. They like harmony. They don't like conflict. Most Libra moons I've met and Libra suns, they dislike conflict. So it's hard for them to make decisions sometimes because they don't want to upset anyone. And so they want everyone to get along, right? And have this peace. But they also like fairness and justice. So they have this other side, like they can be very, fighting for people's rights, and standing up for people that don't have a voice. So they can also do that as well. And so it's hard. They heal by making tough decisions, making decisions, right? Finding balance in life. Libras are all about balancing work, family, love, everything. They're always trying to find that balance. And when they're balanced, they feel good emotionally, right? Now, if they get unbalanced and that scale tips, that's when they can start, kind of struggling. So they got to kind of find things that help them balance and have harmony. And, they do prioritize relationships, but the one thing is, for Libra moons, and I always tell them they need to make sure that they give themselves the same attention. So they need to pursue their own goals too, and not sacrifice their needs for their partner all the time. So that's
pleaser, right?
Yeah, trying to do that and trying to keep the, I don't want to say I don't want to do that because my partner wants to do it. So they just kind of go along. Yeah. And when they do that too much, they might start feeling like they're not fulfilled. So they got to make sure to pursue things that make them happy too. And doing things alone can be hard for Libra moon because they like being with people. They like having people around and having a partner or someone and just knowing someone's in the house, they like having people around, and I know a lot of people with that placement, and they're like, yeah, I like being in relationships. They always tell me, like, when am I going to find love? When am I going to find a partner? And then we got Scorpio. So Scorpio moons, they get a bad rap. And so in my book, I tried to give them, a lot of positivity here. Scorpio moons are very passionate, very, very intense, and they're very into what's deep and real. So they're very loyal, very perceptive. And the thing is, they see through people's bullcrap because, it's that Pluto, that Pluto ruler, and Scorpio moon can feel a little bit cold to some people. And that's just because it takes them a while to trust you. And so, because they don't like to be vulnerable. But everybody's drawn to tell Scorpio moons all their problems and everything, right? Because Scorpio moons can have this secretive, mysterious energy, you know, that people are drawn to. They really are drawn to it. And people want to share their problems with Scorpio moons. And so a lot of Scorpio moons go into healing. You know, they real healing, psychology, counseling, all these things. So, being an astrologer, all these things, finding out what makes people tick. That's a Scorpio moon. But from what I know, I have a lot of Scorpio moons in my life. I tend to draw them, and they want to tell me a lot of things, but it takes a while for them to fully trust.
Yeah.
And if you hurt them, they're able to cut you off. They're able to, they may still be around and be, civil and friendly, but they're not going to share anything private with you. They're not normally going to expose their vulnerable side. And so it can take them a lot longer to experience things. So they need to experience intimacy. That's how they heal. And how do you have intimacy unless you be vulnerable? So see, they need that to heal, to have and to forgive. Forgiveness and letting go. They may never forget what someone does, but they have to learn to forgive. That helps them heal. And they heal by trusting others and allowing themselves to take kind of a risk and let someone in. So that's kind of my tips for them, right?
Good tip.
And then and releasing the past. This is something I find with and this is something I know we didn't talk about yet, but I find with Scorpio and Taurus, you always want, when you look at that polar opposite sign, there's similar lessons that we have, right? And that's like with the sun and, moon. Every sign has its opposite in the sky, and they're compatible elements though. So all air and fire signs always oppose each other, and all earth and water. And so your polar opposite, when you hear polar opposite, you think, oh, that means they're completely different than me. But it actually means you have a lot in common, really. It's like a continuum. So every Scorpio is going to have Taurus in them. Every Taurus is going to have a little bit Scorpio, and it's going to be, a balance. It could be, it's like this yin yang thing, right? So similar thing that Scorpios are similar to Tauruses, and they have to learn to let go of the past,
right?
Because they remember everything, and they're very powerful emotions. They can heal and regenerate and get over emotional hardship and challenge very, very quickly. Because to me, Scorpio moons are resilient, like Aries moon, but in a different way. It's like a deep transformative resilience, that they can and they feel their emotions. They feel them, and they don't get over it as quick as an Aries, but they do finally come out like a phoenix, and they have that rebirth, and they let it go, and then they're just like a whole new person.
Well, to that point, the whole nature of Scorpio is birth, death, rebirth, and transformation. And I think it's so interesting with the sign of Scorpio, how, yes, it's a scorpion, but then it also has the animal totem of the eagle, and then it has the animal totem of the phoenix. So it's the only sign that actually has the three indicators, but that's attributed to the evolution and the growth of Scorpio, and that's the power of it. So.
Yeah, the higher octave of Scorpio is that phoenix and that eagle. And it's interesting because the Scorpio, the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac are talked about in the book of Revelation. It reminds me of that, because the eagle is the scorpion, and they talk about, and then the bull, the face of a man's Aquarius, and then the lion, Leo. Those are the polar opposite signs. So they're in churches all over the world. I've seen them in tons of Catholic churches, the symbols that are, the 4 fixed signs, so it's kind of cool. And then, Scorpios value privacy, and they do like to have success and security, and financial security, and to make money, and, to have nice things, that's nothing wrong with that. That's the Taurus Scorpio polarity, right? And loyalty and trust are really big for Scorpios, and that's how they heal, by finding people that are like them, that they can let into their life. And but I draw Scorpios. I think it's because I have a lot of eighth house, and I always get along with them. So I have no problem, but I know people I've had a couple of friends that are Scorpio moons that are like, oh yeah, my daughters remind me all the time that I'm a Scorpio moon, and that, you know, because Scorpio moons can cut you like a knife. If they're not feeling good or you upset them, they'll let you know. They'll let you know. And even if they don't say anything, I can see it all over their face and feel it when they're upset. I have a really good friend that's a Scorpio sun and moon. And I remember we were at a conference once, and something happened. She got up, walked, and I went over, and I knew she was mad at me. And it was over something silly. I don't know, somebody said something. I said, are you mad at me? And I put my arm around her. And she's like, I can't stay mad at you. And I said, no, I didn't mean it like that. Like, she misinterpreted something that was said. And then she laughed, and, you know, but I knew her because her body language.
Right.
And so, and I can, you know, I know how they are, and then, you know, and I'm able to get along with them. But some of them tell me that people misjudge them and think that they're cold or uncaring, or that they don't feel emotion. No, they're very deep. They just don't show you. They hide it.
It's a sign of still water. So if you think about like the depths of a lake, it may appear smooth on the surface, but there's a lot going on beneath the surface. So.
Exactly. It's like like that iceberg, you know, you'll see, you know, what's going on underneath here is like, oh wow, there's a lot going on. You know, so yeah, it is, there's a lot. You'll still waters run deep, you know, is kind of the thing I see with Scorpio moon. And then Sagittarius moons, you know, they're the ninth house. They rule the ninth house. They're the traveler, the free spirit. You know, they like their independence and freedom. They like to learn. They like knowledge. They're Gemini's moon's polar opposite. So they have similar, you know, that freedom, that independence, being outdoors, foreign travel, like living in a foreign country, traveling to different, you know, foreign area, you know, Egypt, Europe, you know, going somewhere far away. They like to see things, learn things. Faith, they're one of the most optimistic signs. And, you know, they're ruled by Jupiter. But the cool thing with Sag moons, and I always find that they're very blunt and direct too, because they're fire. And I have a lot of them and they'll tell me exactly what they think, but they do it in a kind way. Like, and so I can take it, you know, I'm like, I really like that you're so honest. Like, you're honest and direct, but in a kind way, you know. It's like a Sag thing. I don't know. It's like, they're just able to tell you, you know, I don't agree with that. I think, or you messed up, you know, or I don't like this, or, you know, and they do it in a nice way, and they mean well. But they're a little bit restless, and they're a little bit, you know, freedom loving. You know, it's hard for a lot of them to settle down and just stay inside, and, you know, they like to be moving. Similar, kind of like the Gemini moon, emotionally growing, emotionally moving, you know. So emotionally, they're going to feel good if, you know, maybe driving around in a car, you know, going out in nature and walking, you know, going on trips, just, you know, just whatever they can do to have some movement. Because sitting around, they don't do well with that. And they value positivity. They, you know, their faith, hope, you know, they rule all the ninth house, religion, philosophy, learning, you know, about life, travel, different countries, different cultures, independence. I find that a lot of them, Sag, moon, and sun people, usually attract people that are very different than them. They like people that are from a different culture or religion from them. And a lot of them get married. I tell them, you know, that's a good match for you. You know, they have good luck when they open up and get in relationships with people that are very different from them.
Yeah.
You know, not from where they grew up, from far away.
Expansion of broader horizons. And that can be culturally, new experiences. And it's a curiosity to learn more. So I think it's beautiful. Yeah.
It's really cool. And, you know, Capricorn moon. So Capricorn, my daughter's a Capricorn moon, and I drive her nuts, you know, because I'm an Aries moon, because she does not like things to be rushed. She doesn't like the quick, fast, like I'm like, okay, let's go. I'm ready to do this, or I'll change my mind and I can just wing something. Yeah. She wants to plan. So she's like, oh, you're making me, she'll get anxiety because, you know, I'm like, let's go. She wants to wait. And so she's very, you know, Capricorn moons. I've learned a lot about Capricorn moon from raising my daughter too. You know, she hides she hides what she's feeling because she doesn't always know how to express it. You know, it's Capricorns are like that water goat. You know, it's like they got that 1 foot, you know, the half goat and fish. So I feel like they're very, very sensitive, but they don't want to be vulnerable, and they don't always, you know, they want to be practical and serious and responsible. And she tells me it's just so hard for me to talk about what I feel. That's what she tells me, you know, and I hear this from a lot of Capricorns and Capricorn moon, sun and moon, where they feel things and love very deeply, very loyal, very devoted, and partners and committed people. They'll do anything for friends and family, but it's hard for them to tell you how they really feel. They'll rather like work and take care of business, pay the bills, you know, maybe loan you money, you know, help you out when you need it, you know. It may be hard to say I love you. They may have a hard time being vulnerable or hug, even to be affectionate. You know, my daughter, I'm very affectionate. She's like, you know, I'll go to hug her, and she now knows that, you know, that's important to me. So now she's in college. I have empty nest. We just moved her in like a month ago, and she's my only child. So it's weird not having her here. She's 19. But she comes home now and she hugs me without me asking her. I'm like, what is going on? I like this. So she's actually doing the hugging thing, which she never was really wanting to do. When she got about 11, you know, they go through the tween years.
Right.
When she was little, of course, when kids are little, they're not in their moon sign yet. They're just, you know, they're different. Yeah. So as you get older, you start getting into your chart more. And but no, Capricorn moons, they have to acknowledge their emotions, find work-life balance, you know, because they can be workaholics. They can be focused so much on success and achievement and career that they don't have fun. So they need to learn to relax and have fun and take vacation, and to just balance work and life, you know, because they're hard workers. They like to be busy doing stuff and achieving and accomplishing things, but they need time to feel their emotions and spend time with family and all those things. So they value legacy, structure, financial success, achievement, but they value loyalty, you know, having people in their life. And but they need to learn to they don't have to be the responsible one all the time. You know, they put a lot of pressure on themselves, Capricornians do, you know, of being perfect and having to be the best at everything, and nobody's perfect. It's kind of like that Virgo moon. I think the Earth moons kind of do that a little bit with the work and achievement stuff, you know.
And then Capricorn's like the worker bee of the zodiac. Like it's just like they just keep going, you know, the energized bunny of work. But if you're talking about the moon, that's your emotions, that's your vulnerability, that's your comfort. So it's not a natural, comfortable place or relationship, I would say, you know. I think a lot of Capricorn moons that I know tend to be like service oriented. They express their love language is by being of service for somebody, and that's how they express themselves.
It's interesting, you know, while we're talking about this, I got Aquarius and Pisces left, but what I started realizing, you know, with the moon sign, a lot of times I talk about in the moon sign book that our moon sign, we often see our mother that way. You know, whatever moon sign we have, that's how we perceived our mother. Even if maybe she wasn't really like that, we felt that they were and perceived our mother a certain way. So, you know, so for Capricorn moon, my daughter, she'll tell me, you know, that she was reading about Capricorn moon and how there's a lot of bad stuff about it, and she didn't like it. And I said, you can't believe all of that you're reading. I said, but I go, do you feel that I'm nurturing? She goes, oh yeah, you're like overly nurturing, like, cause she doesn't like the hugs and affection. She goes, it says, you know, that your mother's cold and strict. I'm not cold. I'm not strict, you know? So, but she's like, but the one thing that she will tell me, she says, I feel like you're always working. Like I'm always on the computer. I'm always on the phone. I'm always writing, or I'm, you know, doing something. Even when I'm off work, I'm out there watching TV on my laptop. So there you are working again. She'll joke. Yeah. And it's like, because I feel like you're always working, like you have two jobs. You're never just relaxing. Yeah. And so I'll put everything away so we can watch a movie together. We'll have like a movie night, and I'm like, okay, no phones, no internet, nothing, right? We'll just watch Harry Potter or something, right? But and it's true, because I always I got a lot of Virgo. I like to be doing things, you know.
Well, right there is a perfect example of how once you understand how you both operate, you find the compromise to like respect where the other's coming from and work together. Like you deliberately put the technology away. I think that's beautiful. And she accepts the hugs that are important for you.
Yeah. And I've learned to be more careful, you know, because when Aries moon just says what they think and feel, like I'm very honest with my feelings. So I try to, you know, hold back a little bit, because, you know, and try to, you know, ease into conversations, because she'll get defensive, you know, if I bring certain, or she'll think if I say something, which is Aries, I'll just say something. She's like, well, I don't like that. Like, you're accusing. Oh, no, it's not personal. I'm just expressing, you know, what I'm thinking here in the moment. So I'm careful, because, you know, every moon sign, you know, people take it's their perception.
Right.
And so once you know your partners, your children, your friends, families, moon signs, and sun signs too, you'll know these little things that are important to them, or the things that annoy them, right?
Yeah.
and you can kind of change your ways. But yeah, let me talk about Aquarius and Pisces, and then
this
we
is
can
my
see.
daughter is Aquarius.
Oh, is it Aquarius moon?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So Aquarius moon, I'll be honest with you, Aquarius was the one sign that's hardest for me to write about. And when I went to write my sun signs book and then the moon signs book, that was the only chapter that I had to really connect in. And, you know, and I open up the Akashic records before I write, and I handwrite everything, you know, and just what flows out, and kind of automatic writing before I don't just get on and type. I have to handwrite first. So I really, that helped me write the Aquarius chapter. And just knowing the Aquarius energy of people in my life. But it's hard to encapsulate, it's hard to put it in writing in Aquarius, because it's so that air. I feel like it's hard to feel air, right? When I can feel Gemini in their air, I can feel Libra, but Aquarians are hard for me to feel their energy. Like, I can feel everybody, all the other signs' energies, but Aquarius, that's how I always know someone's Aquarius, when I can't quite figure them out or feel them.
Well, you're a Virgo sun, so your brain takes in all the input and then tries to break it down. So you're earthy, but Aquarius, I equate Aquarius to like outer space.
Yeah,
because it's fixed air, so it's still air that's just floating around out there.
You're right.
Polar opposite.
It's so cool, and that's the thing. Like with Aquarius, that I realize is, like, you know, it's not that they're not emotional. They also, you know, they're intellectual, but they're humanitarian. You know, they rule friendship. They love to help people. You know, they're big into having their individuality and being eccentric and being creative and imaginative, artistic, innovative. You know, to me, Aquarius energy is futuristic. You know, they're innovative. They think outside the box. You know, and everyone that I've known that's had Aquarius sun or moon, you know, they're unique. You know, they like to dress different. They like to dye their hair. They like to have tattoos and ear piercings, you know, different, you know, things to stand out, because they don't want to be followers. You know, they're kind of the rebel of the, you know, they'll say, you know, well, why do I have to act and feel that way? They're non-traditional. So they question authority. They question tradition. So when the moon is there, I find that they really find happiness through expressing their individuality, and having autonomy, and having freedom, and having non-traditional kinds of relationships, because they don't want to be labeled or withheld. You know, they want to feel like, even if they're in a relationship, that they can come and go and do what they want to do, because they really do need that freedom, right? And they're very non-judgmental. You know, they're very open-minded to other beliefs and cultures and relationships, and on all these things like that. So
but once they form their opinion, then there's like no convincing them otherwise.
Oh yeah, they're
then
fixed.
Like, I've decided that's it. It's over.
Yeah, they get a little bit. They got, you know, what's interesting, you brought that up. I've met a lot of Aquarians. This is also why it was hard for me to write about the chapter on Aquarius, because I've met the very, you know, space, scientific, intellectually smart, but kind of book smart, but not, you know, social skills were different, right? That kind of an Aquarian, like just a brain, like a physicist, right? And then I've met some that were like very religious, very conservative. So, and I think what I've seen is like both, there's both in Aquarian, you know, that fixed, I think it's that fixed and beliefs, you know, it's all about beliefs and this science, technology and things like that. But even though they might have been more conservative than a typical Aquarian, they were Aquarian. They still, once you got to know them, they definitely had, you know, some of those being different, you know, wanting their freedom, wanting their independence. They had that, even if they weren't as maybe open-minded as most textbook Aquarians, right?
Yeah.
And but yeah, Aquarius, I find they value creativity, knowledge, you know, open-minded approach, innovation, you know, learning, you know, opening up their mind, computers, technology, you know, anything, you know, astrology is ruled by rules Aquarius, you know, so all those things. And humanitarian efforts, they like, you know, they rule groups, you know, so having friends, having a lot of acquaintances, I find that they make good networkers, like social networking, even though it might not be real deep, like on a deep level like Scorpio does, they have a lot of people around them, or they know people, you know, but it might be surface like, you know, like, you know.
It's almost like the Island of Misfit Toys, that there's a collection of all different types of like unique individual thinkers. And then I think their approach to thinking about things is non-conventional, but it's for the betterment of mankind. Like, you know, how can we think of this differently on behalf of everyone, or like the broader scope? So it definitely questions authority.
Yeah, they do. And when I can't feel somebody's energy, I'll be like, it's like that. I know it's air. I'm like, you got Aquarius or something going on your rising or moon. Yeah. And then when I do their chart, I'm like, I knew it, you know, because they did. And so it's really cool. Yeah. And then Pisces moon, you know, Pisces is the compassionate one. They're kind, they're sympathetic, but they also are artistic, creative, you know, musicians, artists. They love to be in love. They rule, you know, imagination, idealism. They need to have a strong boundaries, because they typically, you know, they see people with rose-colored glasses. They also like to escape from the world, you know, because they feel everything. They're empaths, and so they can take on all the energy of people. So they have to take care of themselves. So a lot of Pisces need solitude. You know, they rule the 12th house, which is, you know, one of my favorite houses. So it's all of that: dreams, imagination, escaping from the world, spiritual, you know, having a spiritual path, having, you know, a belief system, you know, connecting with their soul, you know, that's very important, and balancing their emotions. And they need to learn to say no, and to attract healthy people into their lives. Because they tend to, it's like they kind of attract people that have pain or problems, and sometimes they, you know, they see that as love. And this is kind of my research with the 12th house, which is that Pisces energy, is that when they really feel they're in love with someone, or they're looking for a soulmate, they're looking for a twin flame, you know, all this stuff, and they can really get hurt, you know, through that, by not being with people that can love them the same way they love. And so they usually learn through relationships and love and all these things. But Pisces moons are adaptable. They're kind of chameleon-like. They can adapt to different people and kind of mimic what other people are feeling, you know, because they're water, and they're just, you know, the fish. They got the two sides, you know, to them as well. I find that some of them can be very, very much you know, the Pisces can have that Virgo. I met a lot of Pisces that have the Virgo traits a little bit, with being worriers, you know, overthinking, things like that. And there's kind of that balance of the continuum, right, of the polar opposite signs, and same with the moon. So, but I find that, you know, they value kindness. They also rule dreams and sleep. So a lot of them love to sleep. They love to dream. They love to escape. And the water is very healing for them too. That's something I always tell. All the water signs really can heal by being near water. And that's, you know, the 12 moon signs in a real quick thing, you know. in my book, I give some self-care tips. We talk a little bit about how the full moon affects each sign, and that's important too. Cool. Yeah, that was so cool. I had never done that before. I was like, this is so cool. I hope I'm doing this right.
Yeah, Carmen signed the book. She signed our book plates, and we have them in
really cool.
in the book. Yeah.
Thank you.
So if you guys want to order these books, you can definitely message us, and we can invoice you, or you can just buy them on our website.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
what were you saying about the full moon and the new moon? Tonight's the new moon in Virgo. So
yeah. Whenever there's a new moon, it's a really good time to, set intentions and to release the past, let things go and think about your goals, the things you want to achieve. And typically we'll see that play out at the next full moon, the next cycle. So, at the end of August, we had, the powerful blue moon, once in a blue moon, we had a rare month where we had 2 full moons in 1 month. And that moon was in full moon in Pisces, which was very intense. And I know I was feeling it, and, just very emotional, and everyone I talked to was just, really experiencing all that. And so with this new moon in Virgo, it's the Pisces opposite. So it's like we had this very emotional time, and now we need to think more practically and realistically, and really make our goals, and and plan and get organized, be a Virgo. And the sun is in Virgo right now, and now we have the new moon in Virgo, the next couple of days. So it's a good time to really get centered, get organized, make all these plans that you want to do, and then set your intentions, think positive, and then you can manifest all of those things the next cycle. So the next month when we have the full moon, you'll start seeing these things play out. And these things you're thinking and, dwelling upon. I just kind of had it happen. I've been wanting to write another book, and I've had these ideas, and then I'm like, oh, I'm just so busy. I don't know how I'm going to do this. But I started working on it. And then this week, cause last new moon, I was doing this, right? Like I had this book idea. I started, just working on it. Then I let it go. Then I just, got this going, and then I just let it go. And then this week something shifted, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is the new moon energy. So it kind of manifested. And now I'm like, okay, now I gotta really start writing and do something. And someone said, are there any plans for a rising sign book? Oh yeah, that's I do have plans for a book that and I'm gonna be talking about rising signs in this new book idea I have. I'm gonna be talking about the transits, the energy of each sign, sign in the planet in the house, rising, how to tap into the energy of the rising sign. Yeah, I'm gonna include that in my next book. But I'm glad you wrote that, because I can add that to my next book I'm going to write. It'll be more in depth, like, Aries, Mars energy, first house energy, transits of that, rising signs, tapping into those strengths. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So I'm working on that. That's my new thing. But it was cool, because I knew, the new moon, it was like yesterday. I'm like, yeah, so I was like, this is cool. And, but when something good, you have good things happen, you have bad things happen. And that's kind of what I realize in life. You just gotta, focus on the good things. And not everybody's gonna like you. Not everybody's gonna, support you, but that's okay, because you have, 1 or 2 people out there that might, not like my books, which I've had emails, and I'm like, hey, I try to, as a Virgo, I focus in on that. And I'm like, I let it go, because I had 100 people that were nice and that are being nice to me, right? And then so you can't focus on the negative, and it's hard, with social media and when you get out there and you're putting yourself out there. This is really hard for me to go on camera and to do these podcasts. Last year I'm more comfortable with it now, but I kind of like being behind the scenes. I'm a 12th, 8th houser, so it's hard to get out in the public, but I enjoy talking and teaching.
It's so funny, because I remember when I first found your group and then your self-published book, I reached out to you and I said, will you sign the book? And I bought it from you, and you mailed it to me, and it was signed.
I remember that. That's awesome.
And I said, I own a metaphysical shop. I'd love to have you on. And now these books are published by Llewellyn, And I'm
Yeah.
so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. If you
Thank
come
you.
to New York, please come and see us. We're about
Oh,
1
I
hour
would love.
outside. Yeah.
I would love to come to New York. I'd love to come and do a workshop or sign some books or something.
So
Yeah.
all of the above, all of the above.
Cool.
And maybe we could even schedule like private astrological interpretations for you too, if you want to do that.
I'd love to do that.
But,
Yeah, I would love to do that. I'm open to travel. You know, my Mars is in the 9th house in Gemini and my South Node. So I love to travel, and people have asked me, when are you coming to Florida? When are you coming here? I'd love to. Weekends are the best, and I'll just have to plan it, but we can maybe do it.
yeah, come see us. This has been such a treat, and I really enjoy getting to know you better, and I highly recommend these books. So all 3 of these books we have. So
Thank
we
you.
have the sun sign, and I love the organization. There's affirmations, there's suggestions for things that you can consider for your healing. The moon signs, same thing, that transformation and growth. And then I got to dive into this. So if you have heavy planets or energy in your 8th and 12th houses, phoenixes and angels, focusing on that. And then also, everybody, please follow Carmen on social media, and please also join Deep Soul Divers on Facebook, which is a wonderful community.
Thank you.
Yeah, thousands of people. Like you're doing so many amazing, great things. So.
Oh, you're sweet. You're sweet. It's funny, you know, I started that 12th house astrology group and 8th house group when Facebook was pretty new. And I still got members, you know, that are in there from the beginning. And some people met and fell in love in my Facebook groups. You know, people tell me I met my husband in your 12th house group, or, you know, I got a couple people that met in there, you know, and are together. And I've just, you know, it's hard, you know, doing a lot of groups. I used to have other groups on Facebook. I started the Anything Astrology group, and it grew really quick. But it's so much time to be an admin and to watch everything. And so I turned the group over to some other folks, and I said, I'm just going to focus on the 8th and 12th house. Yeah. You know, those are my 2 groups. And so that's what I focus on, these 2 houses. But I love teaching the basics of astrology and doing all of the teaching and the writing. That's kind of my passion now. So I have my website, CarmenTurner-Schott.com, that you guys can go on and find out some of that. Articles, books, things that I have. Sorry, I'm getting text. My brother.
Well, everybody, the comments, I think you can see everybody's just been so thrilled with this whole conversation, and we're going to take it on our Instagram. And anybody that's watching this that wants to purchase any of the 3 books with her book plate signed, you can do that through our shop, and we'll be sure to keep everyone posted when Carmen comes to visit us. So,
yes, I would love to.
This has been a lot of fun. So thank you so much, Carmen. We'll stay in touch.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
Have a great night, everyone. Okay.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thanks.